course, is still unfolding. Southeast of us, this storm is still wreaking havoc for communities down to our southeast.
This is like a hybrid of 2008 Ike and then compare it with 2001 Allison that's going to linger for days. It's just a nightmare scenario.
So often we compare, but keep in mind, as we look at radar too, that this is not the first time that we've seen hurricanes hit the Texas coast, and a lot of folks will try to ride them out. But this is the first time we've seen Hurricane Harvey hit the Texas coast, or a storm like this hit the Texas coast that's not necessarily done with the coast. Notice those spiral bands that are still moving through sea drift up into Port Lavaca, and you saw what Paul's enduring with wind speeds probably 80 plus there right now.
Yeah, it looked like Paul couldn't even catch his breath. It's hard to even stay on your feet, and it's going to plant. That's why the concern really is going to be off to the southeast around Victoria, Cuero, Goliad. They're going to be in that bullseye. And Bill, we've been showing that bullseye for days, and at first the bullseye meant 10 inches, but now it can mean 20, upwards of 25 inches, and that could be disastrous.
You know, rainfall totals kind of moved in our favor with yesterday's forecast as they started kind of dwindling the rain amounts for San Antonio, where we're now looking 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. We certainly can't let our guard down, and the flash flood watch remains in effect. I mean, we have to watch things closely next 48 hours, really. And
it looks like San Antonio is dodging at least a small bullet, if not a huge one, because we're not going to be hit as hard. But as you said, even 4, 6, 7 inches, that's nothing to play with. And areas that are flood prone, they're going to have to be concerned too.
Remember, this is flash flood alley. This is an area where it just rains downhill. When we get rainfall rates upwards of 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour, it goes right to runoff in this area. So that's why flash flooding is the term we use here, because the flooding occurs within 2 to 4 hours of the rain event starting. So that's why flash flooding is the biggest concern, especially east and southeast. Keep in mind all of the rivers, all of the tributaries that are moving water from our area down to the coast. They're all through these regions like Cuero, Goliad, Victoria. And this is where the healthiest rain and the strongest winds are right now. Moving into Victoria, and it's only going to deteriorate from here because this is moving into your south, Victoria. You can see these bands, these feeder bands close to storm center are the ones that are going to pack the winds between 85 and 100 miles per hour at gusts. And those wraps will continue to move in your area because remember, this is now slowing down. We've lost the eye. Notice this now in the last few loops here east of Goliad. That's where Joe Reinagle is right now. And you can see that the eye closes. So that's another sign that this storm continues to weaken. I'm really concerned about these feeder bands that are coming back through Rockport. They're going to finally get a break. But as you're going to see, and we're going to continue to see for several days, this is going to be the epicenter of damage. Rockport was hit so hard. In fact, Rockport Fulton High School, part of it completely destroyed, and so much structural damage there because, again, landfall was about 8:45 last night at Rockport, and then a second landfall occurred on Capano Bay, which is just to the north. They're calling it that second landfall at about 1 a.m. Look at Houston. So you can see these spiral bands. They've been hit since this time yesterday with outflow bands that have been tornadic in nature, getting those F0s, F1s, small spin ups. Okay, so as you move closer to San Antonio, bands have been coming through the city, but notice that that's really the cutoff. You get to Hondo and you're dry. So this is what's interesting. As the storm moves a little farther north and begins to dissipate, it starts to spread itself out, and a lot more coverage on a lot more heavy rain expected. Rainfall totals are exceeding 11 inches now. This is near Rockport. It starts to dwindle, but as you move farther north, keep in mind those are all 7 to 8 inch rain totals between Refugio and Seadrift, and this number will just grow northward as the storm slows down and continues to use the Gulf of Mexico as its moisture source. So let's take a look at the latest advisory. 80-mile-per-hour sustained winds with a north-northwest move at 6 miles per hour have Hurricane Harvey at a Category 1. As it continues north, it stalls about Karnes City area as a tropical storm sometime later this afternoon tonight before bending down towards the Gulf Coast. And then this is the big change this morning from last night's forecast, is that it goes due north and just out to the east of Houston, almost kind of splitting the uprights between Houston and Austin. And this can spell out a lot more rain for Austin and communities between Austin and Houston, again, out to our east and northeast, because as it moves north very slowly, it continues to move all this Gulf moisture in. Remember, that counterclockwise spin will continue to tap into the Gulf and just be a rain machine as it even moves north. All right, next 24 hours, periods of heavy rain are expected. We've got rainfall totals in this, but these are just 24-hour. A lot of the contour ones we're showing you are beyond that into Sunday night, Monday. Look at this, closer to 6 inches at San Marcos in the next 24 hours, about 2.5 here in the city, but we would not be done. We're still looking at very good chances of rain through Sunday night and even Monday. Look at this, over closer to 7 inches at Gonzales and some spots off to our east. And then beyond that, the rain moves a lot farther east and closer to Houston, finally pulling out of Travis County and the Austin area, but not until Monday morning. That's why flooding is going to definitely be a concern if you're east of 35, east of 37. So again, the greatest rain totals are still accumulating out to our east for storm totals, which are going to now go through Sunday night. There's Monday morning, 640. And notice that we're starting to see some of these more impressive rainfall totals kind of bleed into northern Bexar County. That's going to be Stone Oak, Fair Oaks Ranch, that exceeds 7 to 8 inches of rainfall, and then you can see a good amount of 5-inch totals expected from Leon Valley through downtown out to East Bexar County and maybe down to about 3 inches in southern Bexar County. Keep in mind, this is not at once. This is from now all the way through this time Monday morning. So it's essentially the next 48 hours of rainfall, and it's going to be a lot. Let's talk winds. We've got winds northeast at 23 right now at Gonzales, 33 at New Braunfels. These are current wind speeds, 31 at San Marcos. A lot stronger down to the south where you saw Palmarellas at Port Lavaca. So now the wind forecast, where we do expect later this afternoon winds at tropical storm force in the city due north at 39, 55 at Victoria, still as late as 1 in the afternoon today. So definitely something to keep in mind all afternoon, 40-mile-per-hour winds. This is why the tropical storm warning remains in effect for Bexar County as we expect these winds. Look at this. This is 10 o'clock tonight, and we're still 35 plus in the city, 45 New Braunfels. Everything out of the north coming off the backside, the western side of this incredible system. You know, we talk about the term storm surge, and I want to get a little bit more into that with Jared Silverman because this is a very important thing. Over the last couple of years, we've really seen a focus on forecasting this, Jared, and we could even see more storm surge where Paul was at Port Lavaca. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely correct, Bill, and they have to worry about that. It's the one good thing about being this far inland, but over there, the storm surge is going to be taxing. You heard our own Palmarellas mention about 10-foot surge. We've got the graphic for you, which tells you the corresponding category, and when you've got a category 4, typically you're going to see a storm surge anywhere between 12 feet up to 15 feet, which I don't have to tell you, that would be devastating. That would not only cover the ground level of any buildings right along the immediate coastline, but more than that, it would actually even level some of the buildings and actually draw them out a little bit. And that's the reason why we are inundated with also watches and warnings in that area, one of which you see here. That's the tropical storm warning down to the hurricane warning. So it's a hurricane warning, not just for the immediate coast, but it includes the southeastern part of our viewing area too. But yes, along the coast, the storm surge is going to be very powerful. It's the biggest concern that we have as well, and it's certainly what's also contributed to a lot of the damage that we're going to see there.
Yeah, that warning map's incredible to see those outlines in green. Those are all the river warnings that we're going to see. We're going to have to watch those levels closely, Jared.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we've got the flood watch that's in effect, and they've extended it, Bill. They were originally only going to have the flood watch up until about Sunday morning. They have extended it to Tuesday evening. If that just gives you a little piece of information of how long we're going to be dealing with this. You
know, this is a 7-8 day storm for the state of Texas. I mean, when you consider how long we're going to be talking about Harvey's impact on the state. Barry?
Yeah.
Bill, would it take some system to move in to push this thing out? Is that basically what we're waiting on?
Yeah, we've had these two highs, that Bermuda high that's been moving west and towards the Gulf. The Rockies high has been influencing this system from moving any farther west. And so that's what's prevented San Antonio from seeing it due west and into our area. And that's why it's kind of pushing off to the north. But that Bermuda high is really going to start taking over by Sunday, Monday timeframe. And that's why this system is moving due north on that latest forecast. Instead of out towards Houston, by Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be between Houston and Austin, out in East Texas.
And what is And Bill, real quickly, because I'm getting viewer questions right now, especially about the schools on Monday. A lot of them are starting to go in on Monday. What does that mean for the schools?
So, you know, what's happening with this forecast is that we're kind of pushing out rain chances into Monday, and they're looking pretty good. And I know that that's something of concern because we're going to have North Side opening. We've got so many buses that are going to be trying to get kids to school. It's by Monday that we're still looking 40 to 50 to even 60% coverage on rain in San Antonio. Now, we should spread this rain bands out enough to hopefully prevent catastrophic flooding situations in the city. But because we still have tropical storm warnings, flash flood watches all the way through Kendall County, and this is again through Tuesday, this is something we have to watch. We just have to see these bands moving through, and we'll know a lot more, you know, by Sunday and Sunday night as far as what's going to impact us on Monday. But right now, rain chances are still very good, even on Monday.
And what do you think about the students who are getting ready to maybe attend college at Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, or in those areas that have been heavily affected overnight?
Yeah, UT and A&M, they all start this coming week, so move-in is for a lot of students. But I'll tell you, this is going to be a concern because anything going up to the north, look at the coverage now. As it spreads farther north, now that it's inland, all of this energy is on land and continuing to use the Gulf of Mexico. And it will continue to do that as it bends back down during the nighttime hours tonight and tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to have to really watch closely for any travel through the weekend for sure, but I would suggest to hold off on anything until probably Tuesday.
Well,